Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Reach out to me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we discuss one of the most underrated watches made by one of the best-known brands in the world. How do you hide in plain sight? Well, if you are the Patek Philippe 5205 annual calendar, you keep a low profile. Now, the annual calendar is Patek Philippe's own invention, somewhere between a perpetual and a simple calendar. It was patented in 1996, so it is their own innovation. This watch is the 5205G-010, a white gold model originally launched back in 2010. It is one of the most graceful watches made by Patek Philippe. So, in white gold, 40 millimeters in diameter, only 11.7 millimeters thick, 49.1 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, the watch wears well, though you might be a little bit surprised by just how broad the lugs are. They have a wonderful sweeping, arcing taper, and there's true elegance in this case design. You can see with the concave bezel, the watch reads thin and it slides easily underneath a dress cuff. But from over the top, you can see that there is a quite substantial lug span across the wrist, so I'd recommend this watch for wrists of 15 centimeters circumference or more. The strap is high grade, as you can see, large rectangular scale alligator leather with large symmetrical rectangular scales, a very good cut of the animal. Matte finish, we have a monotone stitch on the edge. You can see sheer cut sides showing the layers of leather. On the bottom, no crimping, no gouging, calfskin on the bottom, a brand new Patek Philippe factory strap, pull tab spring bars, so you can pop the strap off the case without tools, and you can see the Patek Philippe Co. signature on the underside of the lug. So this is of the era of Patek making its own cases. Here we get something that adds a lot of value to the watch and also security. We have the Calatrava cross, which is the symbol of the brand, and it is the external portion of a single fold deployant clasp. You can see it is friction fit, a snapshot, white gold, really gray gold clasp here, providing protection against dropping your watch while donning or removing at bedside. What do I mean by gray gold? Well, since at least 2006, Patek Philippe has used gray white gold. It's still 18 karat white gold, but it's white all the way through, and it never needs to be rhodium plated. It's the good stuff. It's what JLC, Grubel Forsey, De Bethune, and Rolex use. So if it gets scratched, the white gold underneath is the same color as the surface, and again, it never needs to be plated with rhodium to look white. So you can see the bezel is dramatically concave, and then there's a slight step to the case band that helps to thin it out visually. We have a break between the case back and between the bezel and the mid-case. We have this round mid-case section that's visually defined by the top and bottom of the watch, and then these spectacular scalloped evacuations in the profile of the lugs. You can see how they're open, airy, prismatic, and tapered, and deeply elegant. We have pusher adjusters on the outside of the case that are used for adjusting the calendar mechanism, and a slightly countersunk Patek Philippe branded crown with the Calatrava cross. Now on the dial, we have a metallized interpretation of Patek Philippe's traditional sector dials. So outboard, we have a black track with polished dimple-style minutes and seconds displayed. Then we have a cantilever of white gold baton-style indices that stretches over the outer track, but then onto the primary hour track, which is a lovely sort of sunburst anthracite between gray and black, a dark gray metallic sunburst. Then we have a center dial here that is matte black with a polished chapter ring that runs around its circumference. We also have a polished chapter ring around the subdial at the base of the dial, white varnished lancet style counterweighted seconds hand. Note the double index up at 12 o'clock. We have a gold faceted frame for the date, and then we have a set of hands which are Dauphine style and fluted down their center to better contrast with the dark dial base. We have the day, the date, and the month, sometimes known as the American style calendar. And then we have a coaxial display of 24 hours of the day with a Moonphase. Now, the reason we have this 24-hour dial, it's not a GMT, it's not a second time zone. It's there to let you know when you should not attempt to use these pushers to set the calendar. So right now, is it midday or is it midnight? Because if it's midnight, I shouldn't be setting the calendar with these pushers. No, I can see the little white hand, the leaf-style hand, is pointed at 12, so I know it is 12 noon because this is in a 24-hour format. So it is your go, no-go for setting the calendar, but it's also an AM/PM indicator. And the Moonphase, crescent style. Turning it all over, we have a watch with an alphabet soup alphanumeric name. This is caliber 324, QA for quantième annuel, LU for lunaire, and then we have 24H, so 24 heures, that is the 24-hour display. So it is a 324 with an annual calendar, a Moonphase, and a 24-hour display. Now we've got ceramic bearings and unidirectional winding. The two features make for a very efficient winding system. For the 45-hour power reserve, we've got a 4 hertz beat rate, so 4 beats per second, a free-sprung gyromax style balance for precise adjustment and greater shock tolerance, an anti-magnetic and thermally very resilient silicone hairspring. Not only is it resistant to magnetism, but it doesn't deviate as much due to changes in temperature as a ferrous hairspring would. All of this pivots on 34 joules. It is 6-position adjusted, and it bears the Patek Philippe seal, which means that in aggregate, all of these features add up to a movement that Patek quotes running no worse than -3 + 2 seconds per day. Now, the annual calendar, explaining this. So a conventional complex calendar with date, and month is going to have to be reset 5 times a year. A perpetual calendar does not need to be reset, whereas an annual calendar needs to be reset once annually during the jump from February to March, and that is why this is called an annual calendar. All of this water resistant down to 30 meters. Well, maybe it's a little bit sporty for a dress watch. It is not an aquatic sporty watch. If you love this watch, this underrated, graceful case with an easy-to-read calendar and a beautifully balanced dial, reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.